So can we all agree, though, regardless of how, I'm going to figure out how you guys feel about this, that he at least started a conversation, Kristen?
That he started this conversation?
That he started a conversation. He got people talking.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, the prejudice doesn't always necessarily mean racist either. The example he's trying to make is that stereotypes can often come from statistics, and the reality is we come into this world with preconceived notions and with preconceived prejudices. And I think that the point he's trying to make is that he's not going to be a hypocrite here when it comes to his vote on June 3rd, that the NBA is going to hold the ownership to. And he's, you know, being realistic about the expectations that he has, not only for Donald Sterling and ownership within the NBA, but his own personal feelings on the matter as well.
Kenneth, do you think this is a foreshadowing of how he's going to vote? Was he saying something in that interview, do you believe?
Well, that's the mystery, right? The timing is disturbing in some ways, that while we have this important issue out there, he's trying to conduct a classroom discussion about race. I mean, it's very difficult to talk about race in sound bites. So the fact that he ignites a conversation right at the moment when we're about to have this crucial vote on a guy that we pretty much decided has been in the wrong. I mean, I think Cubans just had bad judgment in trying to open this issue up at this moment, at this time.
Now, Ellis, you know, he used a couple of examples there. He used the hoodie, and then he talked about a white guy with tattoos. People thought that was kind of, I guess, ham-handed, or I just thought that it was unfortunate, the examples that he did use.
Yeah, but you know, what he said was a great thing to be saying, right? Prejudice festers in the quiet, in the dark. The more we talk about it, the more honest we are, the more open we are, even about the parts of it that aren't so attractive, the better off we are. The worst thing here, the worst thing is to beat up on him so aggressively that he doesn't say anything the next time. We ought to all be talking about this, including admitting bad stuff about ourselves, Don.
It's really tough, though, because when you know, I think some people may want it both ways, right? We need to talk about race. They want to address racism. And then all of a sudden, when someone starts to talk about it and is honest about it, then they hit him over the head, or they want him to shut up, Kenneth. What gives here?
No, I agree. I mean, you know, many of us reacted that, you know, the hoodie is now, as they would say in poker, a bad tell. I mean, the hoodie does not tell me that this is somebody to look out for. You know, I want to look for the Godfather arm on the gun or something like that. I mean, the idea that you use race as the tell, I mean, that's problematic. So the idea that he raises this and brings it to our attention and lets us think about it again is important, and he's probably a very good fellow, and the idea that somebody that is a good fellow thinks about issues like this in their deepest recesses, I mean, that's important for us to know. But again, it's just the timing and what we're in the midst of now that gives us a little discomfort. You know, what's this leading us up to? What's the vote going to be? Are we trying to protect somebody? Are we trying to provide a precursor to what may be occurring in just a few days?
Kenneth, real quickly before I go back to Kristen, do you think his comments were racist?
I don't think they were racist. Again, I think they were ham-handed. I think they were, you know, to give him credit, I think they were genuine in terms of what he thinks in the deep recesses of his mind. You know, and you know, some of us who grew up in black neighborhoods, we can't walk in the middle of the street all day. We have to make a better call than here comes a black guy with a hoodie. So that's the world he lives in. So I understand that.
Yeah. So Kristen, do you think the comments were racist?
I don't think so. I think that he made a very good point in saying that preconceived prejudices don't necessarily mean racist, but we're all coming into this world with these preconceived notions of what may happen in certain situations and what statistically has happened in situations before. But like you guys have mentioned, it is poor timing with this vote that's coming up on June 3rd. And, you know, the hoodie is obviously a hot topic of, it's not necessarily even a hot topic of conversation. It's a hot button word. You know, it's a word that it's going to trigger conversation. It's going to trigger a lot of feeling. And I don't think that when he went down that road on Wednesday that he thought about, you know, offending anyone's family. And that's why we saw the apology to Trayvon Martin's family on Thursday.
It's when he apologized. Okay, so he gets it now. He gets, you know, what the hoodie means to many people in this country. But the question is, though, about what he said and why people are so upset by it, right? He is saying that his comments had nothing at all to do with Donald Sterling. He was asked in an interview about race, how he conducts his businesses. And he said, in a business, if someone is biased or is prejudiced, I don't get rid of them and send them back out into society. That does no one any good. What I do is I try to offer them diversity training and some sort of training so that they can think better and expand their minds about certain prejudices they have or biases. What's wrong with that, Ellis? I think that's a good thing.
Absolutely, it's a good thing, and it's honestly it's a grown-up way of looking
Right.
at it. Don, you know, it's so easy on this subject to just be completely black and white, if you'll excuse the expression, and just put everybody into the category of good or bad. Come on, let's be honest about this. And in fact, I think this is the perfect time to be talking about it. Why should we not discuss it right now because other people are interested and it's sensitive? This is the time people are paying attention. Let's get in there and dig around in our own hearts and in other people's. Let's talk about it.
Kenneth, I think it's interesting how once again sports is really leading sort of the discussion and leading the culture. And, you know, people forget that sports has sort of been in the forefront of the civil rights movement and breaking down those barriers. And here it is once again.
Now, as we've said many times, we start with Jackie Robinson. That comes before Brown versus Board of Education. So if we give Cuban any credit, he's extending a conversation that could fizzle out in a way that has happened so often in this country. So if we can talk about it more deeply, if we see Cuban make he apologizes, he'll use the hoodie differently in the future. So that's progress.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wonder where we go from here, though. What's next? And you know, maybe Mark Cuban can start a national conversation or continue this national conversation. Thank you, Kenneth Shropshire, Kristen Ledlow, and also Ellis Henican. Appreciate all of you.